right, everybody, welcome back to the Elias Makos Show, third hour of the program, and we will be with you straight through until noon. Let's talk chicken. Let's talk ribs, perhaps. St-Hubert is going to be investing $50 million in a major growth plan set to unfold by 2026. It involves the modernization of restaurants, a new locations plan for Laval and Montreal's Place Bonaventure. They're also going to be doing some work to enhance production lines in Boisbriand and Blainville. So let's find out more about what St-Hubert's vision is for the future and why, at a time like now, they're choosing to invest. Richard Scofield's on the line, the president of St-Hubert Group. Richard, welcome back to the show.
Thank you very much for having me.
So first things first, you know what, I'm kind of viewing this, let's take the perspective here. This is a good news story because I think there's a lot of uncertainty out there. Economically, boy, I hear a lot of bad news about plans for investments in the future. So I have to ask you, why now? Like, why is it a good time for St-Hubert to be investing when so many others are pulling back?
Well, no, to be honest, I mean, the investments that we are making, this is part of a plan that we've been working on for the last several years. Obviously, there's economic uncertainty at this time. We've been around for almost 75 years, and we plan to be around for another 75. So we do look in the long term. We've gone through rough times in the past, and we make sure that, you know, as we build forward and we evolve our concepts and our products, that we focus on value, we focus on guest experience, and that these will bring us through good and rougher times. And we do believe that there's never be a perfect time to invest, but we do have to go forward, and we do have to keep building our presence in the future.
On the new concepts, I think that's what I'm most interested in here. When you say that, you know, take me through someone who's used to going, walking through the front doors at a St-Hubert, and, you know, they got the bar side and they've got the restaurant side. They're used to that. But when you say new concepts, what are we looking at as we walk through the doors of a future St-Hubert?
Well, obviously, you know, a restaurant, it's not going to be drastically different. What you're going to feel is a much upgraded look and feel to the restaurant, warmer, cozier, the new color palette that's much more aligned with our brand. It'll be smaller restaurants, so the ambiance, the intimacy will be enhanced. The bar areas have been updated for today's trends. The menu has been evolving and will continue to evolve to make sure we focus around our expertise. It'll be, you know, the great same experience that we're just going to try to make even better, but in a smaller square foot, which allows us to go into places which are more accessible for our clientele. We had very big restaurants in the past, and now we have to re-engineer our restaurants to give be able to the same offer, but in a smaller square foot, which allows us to get into areas that are more accessible to our clients.
So on the smaller restaurants, how much of that has to do with how consumers are different now? And we live in like an Uber Eats kind of world where there's so much ordering and eating at home. I've seen some incredible statistics about how eating has shifted, let's say, in the last 5 years. So is that part of the reason why smaller restaurants make sense?
Well, absolutely. And this trend towards more takeaway sales has been on since, you know, early 2010. They obviously got accentuated over the pandemic. But yes, you know, and you know, you look at downtown restaurants or more commercial centered restaurants, and, you know, people still work more from home than they ever did before. So there is less traffic. This being said, people have, you know, modified their consumption of the restaurant business. So our restaurants have to evolve to make sure that we better suit or better answer the guest needs of today.
You have so much competition. You know, not only do you have competition on the chicken front, there's so many rotisserie options out there. You have just competition from all types of restaurants. So tell me about how like St-Hubert, which is a really well-known brand, navigates what I would imagine is relentless competition.
Well, you're right. The competition keeps growing year over year. What we try to do is really focus on, you know, what has made our brand a success over the last 75 years. We want to give great consumer experience. We want to adapt it and evolve it to a better answer or consumer needs today. We focus on quality. We try to keep a focus on menu items that fit with our expertise. We don't We don't cheap out on ingredients. We will never go down and play with quality. We won't reduce the portions of our plates. We did a full value reassessment earlier in October to make sure that our menu offer gives the customer more than what he expects for the money he pays. So it's by doing the right things consistently that I think we have a right to play and that we gain consumers' confidence.
With Richard Scofield, president of St-Hubert Group, talking chicken and more. Let me just ask you, because I'm looking at the two new flagship rotisseries, right? One in Laval, one in Montreal. You were talking about some smaller stores, but when I hear the word flagship, I sort of think of a big, immense type of store. So tell me about these two flagships. Are they different from the rest of the plan?
Well, for St-Hubert, going smaller is still a very big restaurant. So we're still talking about restaurants about a 7 to 7,500 square feet. So they are still quite big restaurants. Flagship being more of where they are at. We were less in the downtown area over the last few years because our stores were too big to find the right space at the right price. With this re-engineering, it allows us to come into these commercial areas where we weren't able to go before with the model we had, but they will still be very big restaurants and very well designed and will represent the new brand look and feel that we have put forward that we've worked over the last couple of years.
Let me ask you, Richard, what are we eating? Because, I was on a road trip in February, and I was driving through Cornwall, and I went to a St-Hubert, in fact, and I just, you have a menu, and there's so many options, and when it came down to it, my wife and I, we order chicken, so like, what do people order, and how much variety do they actually want if they're going to go to a chicken and ribs place?
Well, I think you mentioned before, there's a lot of players in the chicken market, and it is our core product. It is our specialty. Our classic meals will always be our classic meals. But we have clients that that come very often in a month that do look for variety. The younger clientele today, they have evolving tastes, and they're exposed to much more different culinary items. So we do like to keep a good variety on our menu, but that sticks with our core expertise. Either being rotisserie products or products that we do on the grill, whether it be other chicken products or even our steaks or our ribs, are all things that we do very well and offer at a great value compared to other restaurants.
Let me ask you, just I know for restaurants there's issues about labor cost, finding enough employees, and I just wonder, when we talk about modernization, are you also looking at ways to make a business more efficient, meaning getting more out of fewer employees?
I think what distinguishes the restaurant industry from other industries is the human side of it, that human factor that people want to look, and I think that's very important. It's very hard to scale down and replace people and keep the same experience. This being said, obviously we look at new technologies, ways that we can make our kitchens more efficient, to take away labor-intensive routines with automated processes that allow the people that we have to concentrate on the guest and not just doing mundane tasks that have no extra value for our clients.
Richard, I'm going to have to leave it there. I want to thank you for coming on. Always a pleasure.
Thank you for having me. Have a great day.
Richard Scofield is president of St-Hubert Group, and do keep those comments coming at 514-790-0800. Let me know about what you get when you go to the rotisserie. Do you still stick with the chicken, or are you more adventurous?